You don't always have to create a budget, but you do need to know your numbers. Hi, I'm Elena of Financialdemics, and I've been showing you my budget for about a couple months now, right? But I do have a backup plan if I am traveling or I'm just really busy and I don't create a budget. And that is because I have multiple bank accounts. So I want to explain how to do this, especially for people who maybe they don't, like budgeting, or they're just struggling with it. This may be something that could help you out, but it still requires some discipline, which budgeting does provide. But I personally like it as a backup because I know that no matter what, money goes where it needs to be, and then we can go ahead and handle the numbers from there. So let me tell you how I normally do this. First thing is that I have to know my numbers. There's no way I can set up this whole system without knowing how much money comes in, how much is going out, and also knowing the breakdown by my category of different bills. So in order for you to do this, first you just really need to know what are your numbers. And if you need help with figuring out your numbers, then definitely check out this video I'm linking here next, because I talk about how to figure out your numbers so you can create a budget. But figuring out your numbers can also help you create this backup system or your primary system for managing your money. Now, once you know all of your numbers, you have to separate those numbers by their category. So I personally like to categorize my numbers by bank accounts. So I have a bill account, and my bill account includes my regular, like, monthly bills, kind of like your rent, your utilities, things like that, but then also any debt payments I have. Then the other bank account actually has my lifestyle expenses in it. So that's something completely separate. That's like things that I like to do and things that I have to pay for, like food. So my personal expenses that I like to do, but then also food is in that bank account. And then if you're a person who like regularly, like, get your hair done, get your nails done, all that money is in there. Entertainment money, all of that in that lifestyle expenses bank account. And then at the very least, you should have a savings account. Now, I have more than one savings account because I like to separate things, but you'll have savings and investing. So your investing is always going to be in a different account anyway, right? Because you're sending that money to be invested. So it's wherever you have your investments at, that's where that money is sitting. Then you have, if you have an emergency fund, maybe it's that. If you have different sinking funds, it could be that. And look, there's different savings accounts out there. I talk about them multiple times, and maybe I should just do an overall video on the different companies who offer some great savings accounts with great features. But you definitely want to pick something where it's not easily accessible, because this is money you're saving for a purpose. So you're either saving for emergencies or whatever sinking funds you have. Like, for example, one of my sinking funds is a kid fund. I also have like an auto fund. I have like a house fund, travel fund, things like that. So you want to make sure that you have that money going wherever it needs to go, but it should not be hanging out with your bills or your lifestyle expenses. That is just not where it goes, okay? So categorize those bills by those different sections that I mentioned, and then total up each section. So now you know how much money that you have to put aside every month for bills, how much money you have to put aside each month for lifestyle expenses, and then how much money you need to put aside each month for savings, sinking funds, investing. And one comment about the bills. I know some of your bills are going to fluctuate. That's just what happens with, like your utilities and things like that. What I usually like to do is I figure out what that average is for the year. You kind of know, if you've been paying your bills for a while, you have an idea of the way your bills fluctuate. But if you're not sure, you can go back and look at the history, or you can kind of just guesstimate. Guesstimate means guess and estimate at the same time, just saying. But you come up with a number and say, this is how much I'm going to put aside for this. So If you hadn't seen my latest video talking about like my different bills, everybody is getting through this daggone, what you call it? If you haven't seen my latest videos, I'm not sure if it's coming before this video or after this video, but I talked about how my electric bill is on an equal pay plan. When my electric bill was not on an equal pay plan, I literally did an estimate for the year, and that's how much I always put in the bills account. So even when my electric bill fluctuated due to either being summer or winter, like my electric bill tends to be high in the summer because of the AC, low in the winter because we have gas heat, then it still would kind of even out, and we'll make a few adjustments as we go. So that's what you do. Just come up with a number based off of all of that, and then from there, that's the number you would always put in the account. Now that you know the totals of the different categories you have, it is time to really evaluate what bank accounts you have, because everybody doesn't have multiple bank accounts. But I'm telling you, multiple bank accounts, if you are disciplined, will help you manage your money a lot easier. You don't have to be waiting on that bill to clear to figure out how much money you have available. It just literally makes life easier. It even helps you easily figure out what didn't happen, what wasn't paid for, things like that, because the only transactions going on, say, in your bill account are your bills. It makes your life just, it makes it a whole lot easier. I'm just telling you. So check your bank accounts. If you have one checking and one savings, then you may want to get another checking account. Now, I am all for no fees, so make this choice wisely. I typically know some people who like to have all their accounts at the same bank. You can do that. If you have an account that has no fees, see if you are able to open up a second account with that same bank and be able to use that second account as your lifestyle expenses. I have been known to have 2 different accounts at 2 different banks. It does not bother me, but if that's too confusing for you, then that's okay. But figure out the way to make it best for you, and if anything, make sure you're avoiding fees, because I'm not for paying these fees to these banks, okay? If you don't have the ability to have the fees waived, because you know they have, some of these big banks have these requirements of how much have to be deposited or number of transactions to have fees waived, then let's try to find a bank that doesn't have fees if you can, or make sure you're in a position where the fees can be waived. But you definitely want to do that. You want to find a bank that doesn't have fees. And truthfully, you know what? I'm just going to throw it out there. I think Ally will be a great bank. And I don't even bank with Ally, so I'm not getting anything for this. I've just recommended Ally before. I should open an Ally account though. I have recommended Ally before because I just know it makes it a little bit easier when you have different accounts and, you know, to move your money around. But if not, you can find another bank. Just find a bank that's not going to be charging you any fees, because we're not for the fees. We're not trying to lose money, trying to manage our money better. That's not how this works. So at minimum, as I mentioned before, you want to have at least 2 checking accounts, one for just bills, one for your lifestyle, okay? And at least one savings account, because your investing is going to move automatically, or however you do it is going to move. If you want to list it as a bill, it's going to move to the investment account. So just make sure you at least have 2 checking, 1 savings at minimum. But if you haven't seen, you know, my setup, and actually I need to update that setup. I've talked about that before because we have made some changes, but I might wait till 3rd quarter-ish to update y'all on the setup, because I'm still making some changes on all our multiple bank accounts. Once you have gotten your bank accounts set up, you definitely want to set up your direct deposit to move the money automatically. Now, from my experience, I've worked for companies that have allowed us to send our direct deposits to multiple banks or multiple places, and that has worked out for me. What I have experienced in dealing with like my husband and where he works, that ain't the case. And so I know it's different from everybody else. So What I would say is check with the company you work for if you have direct deposit and see how many different places you can send your paycheck. If you can send your paycheck multiple places, that is great, because then you don't have to do anything. If you can't do that, then you may have to set up either some automatic transfers at your bank or do manual transfers. I think it's better though if you set up automatic transfers and then do it that way, where you basically have the money transfer from wherever you have it initially coming in, and then you know how much you want to spend, like for like your lifestyle expenses. So you have your lifestyle expenses transfer out to that other checking account if you can. And then also, at least like for one of the companies I was helping somebody with, like they could at least have a savings and a checking. So like they have money automatically go into savings. And that's always great too, because you don't want to think about savings, and it's better when you don't know it existed. So I mentioned if your company does not allow you to send your direct deposit to multiple places, that you'll have to do it manually or have it just go one place and then manually move it. Same thing if you do not have direct deposit. Unfortunately, you will have to manually make this happen. But I know if you're dedicated enough, you can do it. And so you'll have to manually, like maybe deposit your check and manually have it go to wherever you want it to go. Or once it's in your bank account, then you can have the money transferred out to where you expect it to go. Okay, so quick note about this bill account. This bill account, now we know you can get a debit card. And I don't mind you getting a debit card because you may have to like go to the ATM and make a deposit, but we're not carrying this debit card around in your wallet. This debit card needs to go into a safe place in your home or something like that. Like hide it in if you have a safe deposit box, a special drawer, somewhere where you can access it if need be. But the reason why I'm saying not to carry around this debit card, because we do not need a situation where you accidentally swipe your bill account for something fun. Okay, so we're not carrying around this debit card at all. This debit card stays somewhere hidden at home, somewhere safe, or if you have like a safe deposit box somewhere, like something like that, put it there so that you are not spending your bill money, because this is just making it easier for you to manage your money. We're not trying to make it harder. And of course, keep in mind that only money going in and out of the bill account is just for bills, okay? That is it. It's either you're spending money on your bills or you are putting money in the account because you need to pay bills. That's it. And the good thing about having this separate bill account is because it does make it a little bit easier for you to get 1 month ahead, because your bills some of them do fluctuate, right? Like I talked about the electric bill. It does fluctuate. So what happens is when you're putting in the same amount of money on a constant basis, and say your bills are less, that is helping you to adjust and let that money roll over so that you can use it to get 1 month ahead. It also makes it easier for you to get 1 month ahead, because remember in my video where I talk about it, which I will link, I talk about putting that money separate, like putting it just with your bill money. You're not going to pay more on bills that are not requiring you to pay more. So now you do have a place to put that money so that as you are adding more money to get 1 month ahead on your bills, you have a place to store that money that's still easily accessible to pay your bills, but it's just in that account because that account is just for bills. You're not using it for anything else. So you'll be able to see like, okay, if I spend $2,000 in a month, at the beginning of the month, that account should have the $2,000. I'm just saying. You want more on that? Check out that video. After this video though, after, not now. So now for your lifestyle account and your like personal funds and things like that, that is going to be in that other checking account. And that is the checking account that you're going to carry around the debit card for, because we are going to constantly, in addition to checking the balance on our bill account, because we want to make sure nothing crazy is happening over there every day, we're also going to check the balance on that lifestyle account. And checking the balance is just a habit that I have. I check the balance. That's how I see if something goes wrong. It takes you less than 5 minutes every morning, especially with apps. You just go on, you see what the balance is in your account, make sure nothing looks crazy, and move on for the day. But your lifestyle account is the account that you're going to have that debit card for. and you are going to spend your personal money. Remember, groceries in there, so get your groceries, okay? And any other things, entertainment, things like that, that is what that account is for. I kind of mentioned this already, but I'm going to say it again because I want to make sure that everybody's clear with the savings. You want to save first. So that's one of the things that you want to get done. We're going to pay ourselves first over here. We're not going to be paying these people, not paying ourselves. So remember, you want that money to already go to the savings. We're not going to wait to the end and figure out what savings is. We already know how much we are aiming to save every month, and we go ahead and have that money go there. And then just one thing you want to keep in mind, as your bills change, let's say you get a new bill because, I don't know, let's say you moved and you go from having all electric to gas and electric, or like where I live, if you're renting, you don't pay for water, but if you own, you pay for water. So, maybe you have a new water bill, something like that, or maybe you have a new debt. I don't know. Make sure you adjust your numbers accordingly so that you have that money in your bill account, so that you're not coming up short on your bill account and you're not understanding why. Make sure at that time you make an adjustment, adjust where the money goes so that you have the right amount you need for the month in your bill account to pay your bills. So that's how I set up my account, so that even if I do not budget yet, because typically I would still budget, I'll just be late on budgeting for the month, especially if I'm, like I said, if I'm traveling. I'm not thinking about budgeting, I'm traveling. So I already have the accounts set up perfectly to handle that. It makes it a little bit easier for me, but it also can make it easier for you if you are looking for a backup to budgeting, so that you can make sure that you're not overspending and you're really still have your money allocated according towards your goals. Or if you're a person that you don't necessarily want a budget, or don't feel you need a budget, but it just makes it easier for you to manage your money that way, then you should definitely check out this system. I call it like bank account budgeting personally. It just makes it easier for you to manage your money without accidentally spending your bill money, because we can't be doing that, okay? We can't. Bills have to be paid. In the comments below, let me know if this is a system that you would like to use, or a system that has interest you, or if you have another way that you kind of back up your budgeting, or either you don't necessarily budget and this is how you manage your money. Let me know. I'm always interested to see what other people are doing. And if you want to know more about getting 1 month ahead, I actually have 2 videos about that. I talk about doing it with windfalls, and I also talk about doing it without a windfall, and you can check out those 2 videos right here.